Hello everyone, welcome to the daily current affair analysis brought to you by Shankarai's Academy, 26th September 2025. Before getting into the discussion, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please do subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the Academy. Before getting into topics for the discussion, we have an important announcement. It is regarding the pre-storming UPSC Prelims Test Series. The batch 2 will be starting on 16th October 2025. Link for the registration is available in the description and also in the website. Do register and crack the prelims in 2026. And coming to the topics for the discussion, the first topic is Super Typhoon Ragasa. So recently, the Hong Kong city experienced a strong wind and heavy rainfall because of the Super Typhoon. And the next article is regarding the new test for the Alzheimer's disease. So recently, the India introduced an FDA, that is Food and Drug Administration approved test for Alzheimer's. And the next article is regarding the Makhana, because recently the Prime Minister of India inaugurated the National Makhana Board in the state of Bihar. And the next article, lessons from India's vaccination drive. So the article is taken from the Hindu, and this article is talking about the India's achievements in the vaccination and immunization. And we will also discuss what are the present challenges and what can be done. And finally, we will be looking into some of the important prelims topics from the Prelims Focus. If all set, let's begin the discussion with the first article. Super Typhoon lashes Hong Kong with the hurricane force winds and heavy rain. The article is taken from the Hindu. On 24th September, the Hong Kong city, which is located in the coast of South China, experienced a strong wind with a force of 200 km and heavy rainfall. The reason was Super Typhoon Ragasa. So in this background, we will be discussing what is meant by typhoon and why the regions in the South China Sea is experiencing such disturbances every year. So starting with the typhoon. So we know that the typhoon is also known in other names like tropical cyclone in South Asia. It is known as Willy Willies in the Western Australia. It is known as hurricane in the Western Hemisphere. Even though the names are different, the phenomena is same. It is a large scale atmospheric disturbance where a large air mass will be rotating a low pressure center, and it is the major features are heavy rainfall and a strong wind. And why or how it is formed? So the formation, the basic requirement for the formation of a cyclone or the typhoon is the warm ocean water. Because of the warm ocean water, it will fuel the evaporation. As a result, the warm moist air will rise upward. And as a result, in the surface, a low pressure system will be formed. A low pressure will be formed, and the air from the surrounding high pressure will be coming to this low pressure region to fill the gap. And what happens, they will also rise and gives more, once the moist air reaches the height, it will be condensed into cumulonimbus clouds and thunderstorms. And this system will continue, the cycle will continue, and then comes the role of the Coriolis force. So the on one side, the cycle is continuing. That means the warm moist air is moving upward, the cool air from the surrounding high pressure region is coming to fill the gap, and again it is also moving upward and giving more energy into the system. So this cycle will continue, and next comes the role of the Coriolis force. We know that the Coriolis force is a force generated due to the rotation of Earth, and this has a capacity to deflect the matter into rightward and leftward in the northern and the southern hemisphere respectively. In the northern hemisphere, it will be deflecting the matters into rightward, and in the southern hemisphere, it will deflect the matter into leftward. And that is why in the northern hemisphere, the cyclone is rotating in counterclockwise, while in the southern hemisphere, it is rotating in clockwise direction. And now we will discuss with the help of a diagram. So like I mentioned, the basic requirement is the ocean's temperature with 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. As a result, the evaporation will be accelerated, a low pressure system is forming, and the wind from the surrounding high pressure region will be coming to fill this gap. And what happens, they will also rise upward. Once the moisture reaches the height, it will be condensed into cloud, and as a result, cumulonimbus clouds and thunderstorms will be formed. And the final stage of the cyclone formation is the formation of the eye. So once the eye is formed, that means the system is strong enough to give heavy rainfall and strong wind. And this is how the cyclone is formed, or the typhoon is formed, or hurricanes are formed. And coming to the major parts of the cyclone or the typhoon, the first major part is the eye. So we can see that eye is the center of the cyclonic system. And what are the major features of the eye? Calm air, clear sky, and calm condition. And the next comes the most destructive part, that is the eye wall. And here in the eye wall and in the rain band, we will have heavy rainfall and a strong wind. And the next towards the in the boundary of the cyclonic system, we will have cirrus clouds, thin cirrus clouds. So this is how the cyclone is working. And once the cyclone reaches the land, the moisture will be cut off. As a result, the energy will be lost, and the cyclone will eventually die. And coming to the why the Hong Kong or such regions in the South Asia is in the South China Sea is experiencing such disturbances. First is the location. So we can see that the Hong Kong is located in the east coast of China, and it is falling under the northwestern Pacific zone, and it is one of the active cyclonic basins in the world. And the next is the presence of the warm South China Sea, and it will reach the ideal temperature of 26 to 27 degrees Celsius during the summer, and it will provide, it will accelerate the evaporation. As a result, the rest of the process will happen. And the next is the presence of the Coriolis effect. So the Hong Kong, the city is located at an latitude of 22 degree north, which is, and here the Coriolis effect is strong enough to help the cyclonic system to attain the spin and become stronger. And the next is the monsoon wind. So during the monsoon time, the wind has a capacity to push the atmospheric disturbances like storms from the coast of Philippines to the coast of South China, and that is why in other times also the regions will experience storm and all. And the next is the monsoon winds. So this monsoon winds has a capacity to deflect the disturbances from the east to west. That is, due to the monsoon wind, the certain disturbances like storms and all will be deflected from the coast of Philippines to the coast of South China, and that is why in other times also the city like Hong Kong is experiencing certain disturbances. And coming to the impact, so the first is the flood and the rise of the sea level. So we are expecting a sea level rise of 4 meters in the eastern and the southern coast, and nearly 700 plus people have are in the shelters. And you can see that the stock market in the Hong Kong got temporarily halted, but now it is reopened, and the transportation system and other human activities also got temporarily stopped. So these are the major impacts of the Typhoon Ragasa, and this Typhoon Ragasa is the strongest typhoon recorded in 2025 because the speed of the wind is nearly 200 km. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is: consider the following statements regarding typhoon formation. Statement 1: typhoons require sea surface temperature of at least 26.5 degrees Celsius to form. Statement 2: in the northern hemisphere, the Coriolis effect causes typhoons to rotate clockwise. No, it is rotating in the anti-clockwise or in the counterclockwise. So therefore the statement 2 is incorrect, while the statement 1 is correct. So here the correct answer is option A, 1 only. Let's check. Yes. So with this we will move to the next article. New test for Alzheimer's, non-invasive, FDA approved, now available in India. Why this helps in tracking early symptoms? The article is taken from Indian Express. We know that Alzheimer's is a neurodegenerative condition that mostly affects the people when they become older. And now we introduced a new method of test to detect the Alzheimer's as soon as early possible. And the major feature is it is non-invasive and it is approved by the FDA. So in this background, we will be discussing what is meant by Alzheimer's and also about the new test. And like I mentioned, the context is the introduction of a new series of tests to detect the Alzheimer's, and it is already approved by the FDA, that is Food and Drug Administration in the United States. And coming to the Alzheimer's, what is meant by Alzheimer's? It's a progressive neurodegenerative disorder that affects memory, thinking and behavior of an individual. So we know that inside our brain we have strong neurons, healthy neurons, and those healthy neurons are very important for the healthy functioning of an individual. Once the neurons are affected, it will affect the behavior, the thinking capacity, the decision making, also other cognitive functions of the person. And this Alzheimer's is a common cause of dementia. Dementia is an umbrella term that we use to mention the disorders that affect the cognitive ability. For example, if we take certain terms like commonly we use the term heart disease to talk about any problems that are affecting the heart. But within this heart disease, we have a lot of other conditions like coronary artery condition or valve blockage in the valve. So like that, this dementia is an umbrella term that we use to mention the disorders that affect the cognitive ability. And this Alzheimer's is accounting for nearly 60 to 70% of the cases. And coming to the risk factors or causes behind the Alzheimer's, first is the biological causes. So you can see that when the neurons become unhealthy or due to any factors, or building up of the proteins like amyloid or tau can lead to Alzheimer's or other neurodegenerative conditions. And with aging, the people may develop neurodegenerative conditions including Alzheimer's. And the genetic factors, for example, the people who are carrying the APOE4 protein, it's a gene that can that is one of the reasons behind the the development of Alzheimer's in the early age. So genetics also contributes to the development of Alzheimer's. And the next is unhealthy lifestyle. That means excessive smoking, alcohol consumption. This can affect the neurological development, neurological function, and can lead to various neurodegenerative condition. And also other risk factors like accidents, exposure to chemical. For example, the exposure to mercury can affect the cognitive ability of the person, and also maybe a factor behind the neurodegenerative condition. And coming to the test, so the name of the test is Dendrite Dx. Actually, it's a bundle of sequential test. So there are nearly 4 stages in this test. What is the nature? It is non-invasive and it helps in early detection of the Alzheimer's. And the target groups are individuals with a family history of dementia, brain fog, memory lapses, difficulty in concentrating, or risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, and obesity. And the cost for this test is just 10,000 rupees. So comparatively, it is much lesser. Comparing with the other method of test, it is much lesser. And the efficiency is nearly 90%. And coming to the levels of test. So like I mentioned, it is not just a single test. This test includes 4 stages. The step 1 is the digital cognitive assessment. So here the individual will be, solving certain quizzes and puzzles to assess the cognitive ability. And the next is the blood test for biomarkers. So we will be using chemicoluminescence test to assess the presence of proteins like amyloid and tau inside the human. For example, we will take a sample of blood from the person and then we will inject the antibodies. When the antibodies reacts with this protein, it will create a tiny flash of light, and the amount of the light will be calculated using the machine, and through that we can understand the presence of the protein. So behind the Alzheimer's there are 2 major culprits, that is 2 major proteins, that is amyloid and tau. These 2 proteins, the buildup of these 2 proteins in the neurons can also is one of the major factors behind the development of Alzheimer's. So through this blood test, through using the chemicoluminescence test, we can assess the presence of these proteins. And for further verification, we will use the C2 blood test. It's an advanced blood test which helps us to prepare Alzheimer's probability scorecard. And finally, we will go for the genetic test, that is APOE genotype test. That means we will conduct the genetic test to understand the presence of apolipoprotein, that is APOE protein. And people with the variant, that is apolipoprotein E4, have maybe at the high risk of developing the Alzheimer's in the later ages of their life. So therefore, these are the 4 stages that we include in this testing. That is, first stage is digital cognitive assessment, where the individuals will be solving certain puzzles and quizzes to understand their cognitive ability. And the next is a blood test for biomarkers. We are using the chemicoluminescence method. That means we will inject the antibodies inside the blood, and when the antibodies reacts with the protein, that is especially with the amyloid and tau, it will create a tiny flash of light, and we will assess this light to understand the quantity or the presence of the protein. And the next is C2 blood test. It is an advanced blood test which is used by the professionals to prepare Alzheimer's probability card or probability score. And finally, that is the genetic test, that is to understand the presence of apolipoprotein. So the people with the apolipoprotein, that it is a gene that that affects the ability of the body to maintain the cholesterol, and that is also a factor behind the development of Alzheimer's. So to understand the presence of this protein, we will conduct the genetic test, and people with this protein are at the high risk of developing Alzheimer's, especially in the later ages. And why it is important? So why this new technology is important? First is, it is non-invasive like the previous methods. For example, before that we used the lumbar puncture method or spinal tap method. So in this method, we will take the fluid from the lower back of the person. So it is really painful, and also it is an invasive practice. And the next is cost. That is, if there is another scan called PET test, and for that it is really costly, and also it is not widely available. And you can see that so far only 10% of Alzheimer's cases are currently detected because of this traditional methods. But using this non-invasive method, we can conduct the test easily, and also that the complexity associated with the test is also very less. And the next is, this test is non-invasive, scalable, accessible, and physician guided. So finally, after completing 4 stages, the next directions will be given by the doctors. So it is non-invasive, scalable, and accessible. You can see that the test cost only 10,000 rupees, which is much lesser comparing with the other test. And coming to the major initiatives taken in India to deal with Alzheimer's? First is the National Program for Healthcare of the Elderly Population, because we know that the elderly population are at the high risk of developing Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative condition. And Ayushman Bharat for elderly care services specifically focuses on the health of the elderly population. And the next, Alzheimer's and the Related Disorders Society of India, which plays a crucial role in providing support care and also creating awareness about the neurodegenerative condition. And coming to the prelims practice question. So in this topic, we discussed what is meant by Alzheimer's and what is the new technology or the method that we are using to detect the Alzheimer's, very earlier. And with this, we have a prelims question. The question is, with reference to the Alzheimer's disease, consider the following statement. Statement 1, it's a viral infection of the brain causing progressive memory loss. Statement 2, abnormal accumulation of proteins in the brain is one of its hallmarks. And statement 3, it is a leading cause of dementia worldwide. Which of the above statements given above is or are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only. Option C, 2 and 3 only. Option C, 1 and 3 only. And option D, 1, 2 and 3. See, here the correct answer is option B, 1 and 3 only. The relationship between the Alzheimer's and the viral infection is still under study. Therefore, we cannot conclude that. So that is why we can eliminate the option A. The option statement 1. So here the correct answer is option B. That is statement 2 and statement 3 are correct. So the correct answer is option B. Let's check. Yes. So with this, we will move to the next article. National Makhana Board. The article is taken from Indian Express. So we know that in the Union Budget of 2025, the government talked about the establishment of National Makhana Board. And finally, in September, the Prime Minister inaugurated the National Makhana Board in the state of Bihar. So in this background, we will be discussing what are the basic functions of this National Makhana Board and also certain facts about the makhana or the fox seed. So starting with the basic functions, first is raising the production standard and improving the post-harvest management to reduce the loss of value of the production. The next is introduction of new technologies for ensuring better cultivation and processing of the makhana. And the next is expanding the value of the makhana for better marketing and exporting. And the next is supporting the interest of the farmers and producers organization, and also finally helping the farmers in accessing the central schemes which are helpful for their cultivation. And coming to the makhana or the fox seed. So it belongs to the family Nymphaceae, the same family of water lily, and the scientific name is Ural ferox. And it is an aquatic plant with large floating leaves and purple flowers. And the seeds are contained in spiky fruiting pods, which makes the harvesting difficult for the farmers. And this seed is, that means the plant is found mostly in South and Southeast Asia, particularly in countries like China, India, Japan, and Korea. And it best grows in the wetland atmosphere, that is in the region with the stagnant water. And coming to the climate type, the most preferred climate is subtropical to tropical type of climate with a temperature range of 20 to 35 degree. And it can manage, it can if the water presence is adequate, then it can deal with the high temperature during the time of summer also. And an annual rainfall of 100 to 150 centimeter is it's needed for the better growth of this plant. And sunlight is also very essential for the proper leaf growth and seed maturity. And coming to the benefits of this makhana is also known as black diamond because of the value and its benefits. So first is protecting the heart health. So we know that the sodium is one of the major factors behind the high blood pressure. So therefore, in the case of the makhana, it has only low sodium and high potassium, and therefore it will reduce the blood pressure, it will keep the blood pressure in control, and ultimately it will protect the heart. And the next is weight management. It has low calorie, therefore it can be used as an alternative of chips. And the next is the diabetes friendly because of low glycemic index. And the next is it has antioxidants which helps in anti-aging or healthy aging. And the next is the kidney and liver health, and because we can see that it is traditionally used in the medicines of Ayurveda and in the traditional medicine of China. And it is gluten free, and it is very suitable for the vegans to attain diverse proteins and nutrients. And coming to the export and marketing of the makhana, so in India, the Bihar state account for nearly 90% of makhana's production, and in 2022 makhana received a geographical indication tag, that is the Mithila Makhana of Bihar. And you can see that this is already exported to countries like UAE, USA, New Zealand, and Canada. And now the government is planning for the promotion of the makhana to push the makhana into Western health food markets. So we can see that it can replace many junk foods and chips in the market, and it can be an alternative healthy alternative for the people. So coming to the prelims practice question, the question is with reference to Makhana, consider the following statement. Statement 1, it is an aquatic crop, belongs to the water lily family. Statement 2, the seeds are edible and popularly called black diamond. And statement 3, it is traditionally cultivated in wetlands and shallow ponds. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, 1, 2 and 3. So it belongs to, it's an aquatic crop because it is cultivated in a stagnant water and it prefers stagnant water atmosphere. And the next is it belongs to the Nymphaceae, the same family of water lily. Therefore, the statement 1 is correct. And seeds are edible, yes, and it is popularly known as black diamond because of its high value. That is also correct. And the next is that traditionally cultivated in wetland and shallow ponds. Yes. So therefore, all the 3 statements are correct. And here the correct answer is option D, 1, 2, and 3. So with this, we will move to the next article. Lessons from India's vaccination drive. The article is taken from The Hindu. Proper public policy, effective participation from the people, and the proper integration of the technology can transform the public health. India is a great example. In this context, we have a news article from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about India's vaccination journey. So let us discuss more. So starting with the vaccination and the coverage. So we know that vaccination, it's a mechanism or a process of administering the vaccine to the people, which helps the immune system to recognize and destroy the infection and diseases at the source itself. And it is the most effective and cost efficient method to enhance the public safety, particularly the public health. And considering this, the government of India in 1985 launched the Universal Immunization Program. It's the world's largest immunization program covering nearly 2.6 infants and 2.9 crore pregnant women annually. And it helped us to reduce the under 5 mortality from 45 to 31 per 1,000 live birth. And coming to the coverage, you can see that initially under the Universal Immunization Program, it provided for nearly 12 vaccines, 11 nationwide vaccine and 1 vaccine focusing on the endemic area. And later, that is in last decade, 6 new vaccines added under the Universal Immunization Program for the measles, rotavirus, and the Japanese encephalitis like that. And to intensify the immunization, especially with the more focus on children and pregnant women, we launched the Mission Indradhanush in 2014, and this helped us to raise the coverage, the immunization coverage from 62% to 90%. And later, to further intensify the Mission Indradhanush, we launched the intensified Mission Indradhanush in 2017, targeting the areas with low coverage and missed population. And we can see that by 2023, through 12 successful phases, we completed vaccination covering 5.46 crore children and 1.32 pregnant women. And later we linked this Mission Indradhanush with the campaigns like Gram Swaraj Abhiyan to enhance the role of the local self-governments in immunization in India. And coming to the technological integration, so we realized the importance of technology in vaccination during the time of COVID-19 through the CoWIN portal. And the CoWIN portal helped us to track and record the vaccination data, and also it helped us to speed up the vaccination drive in India. And similar to that, we have launched the U-WIN portal, which is focusing on children and pregnant women, and this helps us to track the vaccination drive, and also it also helps us to record the data related to vaccination. And this is available for anyone at any time and anywhere, and it will be more beneficial to the migratory groups. And the next is other tools. What are the other tools that we integrated for vaccination? The first is electronic vaccine intelligence network to track the vaccine stock. And next we have the national cold chain management information system to understand to track the real-time cold chain monitoring. And it also helps us to get data about the temperature sensitive vaccines. And next we have the SafeVac portal, which helps it is used to report the adverse impact of vaccination, and also it helps us to raise the voice of the people, and at the same time this will ensure the public trust in the vaccination. And the next is COVID-19 lesson. So we know that the COVID-19 was the biggest lesson for India. So what are the initiatives that we have taken in vaccination during the time of COVID-19? So India launched the vaccination on January 16, 2021 within a few weeks of global rollout. And by January 2023, nearly 220 crore doses are given. that is 97% of them are first dose and 90 of them are second dose. And you can see that we did not rely on any other country. We mostly manufactured the vaccine in within India, and also we can see that we helped the global south countries via vaccine Maitri operation, and this is based on the principle that is spirit of Vasudeva Kudumbakam. Vasudeva Kudumbakam means one planet, one family, and became world's largest vaccine hub under the Making India initiative. So we can see that many countries, especially the Western countries, they did not recognize our vaccine, but still we can see that we gained the global recognition and trust through supporting the global south countries through the principle of Vasudeva Kudumbakam, that is one planet, one family. And what are the major challenges in India's vaccination? First major challenge is hard to reach the groups. So most of the communities in the remote area or living in the isolated regions are often missed. And the next is the migration in India. So we can see that we cannot trace the people. That is one of the major crises. And the next is hesitation from the population. So people, sometimes during the COVID-19 itself, we have witnessed that many rumors regarding the vaccination were going on in the social media. So through this vaccination, through the because of this misleading rumors, people become hesitant to take the vaccines. So these are the major issues. And the next is low awareness about the importance of vaccination. So you can see that during the time of COVID-19 itself, many people have taken after taking the first dose, they did not take the second dose, and also myth surrounding the vaccination. These are the major issues. And India's vaccination gap again witnessed in 2020-24 during the measles outbreak, and in response to that, we launched the Zero Measles Rubella campaign in 2025, which is aiming for more than 95% of immunization coverage, and strengthening the herd immunity against the measles and rubella. So herd immunity means if a particular section of population is immune against a particular infection, then that infection is known as, that immunity is known as herd immunity. That means if not just one person, through that we are aiming for herd immunity. That means majority of the population will be immune against any infection. And coming to the way forward, so what can be done? So we can see that in the public health, we have a huge achievement. That means we eliminated polio, last year we eliminated trachoma, and we eliminated neonatal tetanus. So like that, we have eliminated a lot of infections from which were threat to the public health. But at the same time, still the gaps are remaining. So therefore, we need stronger disease surveillance, immunization linkage, and because we can see that the people are still hesitant. At the same time, the migration pattern of the people is a major crisis, and must counter anti-vaccine narratives on social media and such rumors. And the next is preparedness requires one health, one approach. That means not just focusing on the humans, we have to focus on human, animal, and also environment. That means we should shift from this human centric approach to a one health approach, considering human, animal, and environment. And coming to the mains practice question. So the question is, India's vaccination drive since 2014 demonstrates major successes, especially polio elimination, measles rubella campaigns, rapid COVID-19 rollout and all, but also exposed systematic vulnerabilities. Critically examine the role of digital platforms and disease surveillance in strengthening immunization coverage. So in this topic, we have two parts. That is, in the first part, we can talk about the success, and the second part we can talk about the challenges also. That means what are the systematic vulnerabilities. And the next is in the next part we can talk about the role of the digital platforms in strengthening the public health. So using this our discussion, try to answer the question and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. Now it's time to move to the next article. So coming to the prelims focus, the first topic is Rooibos tea, scientifically known as Aspalathus linearis. So it is a tea indigenous to the South Africa, particularly to the Sedenberg mountain ranges of the Western Cape, and it is harvested by the Khoisan people, the natives of the Southern Africa. And the speciality about this tea is that it is a herbal tea with the without caffeine. So we know that caffeine can disrupt the sleep, it can increase the stress hormone, and it can it is directly linked to the blood pressure also. But in the case of the Rooibos tea, it is caffeine free, therefore it is it is risk free. And the next is it also has other benefits like antioxidants. It helps in anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, which protects the heart and the liver, and it regulates the blood pressure, blood sugar, improves the skin, and also the gut health. And coming to the next topic, it is the Purchasing Managers Index. So it is released by the S&P Global every month, and the purpose is measuring the health of the manufacturing and the service sector, and this will be helpful for the policy makers to get a quick insight for the economic decision making. And the next is the recently the Central Pollution Control Board celebrated the 51st Foundation Day, and so we'll discuss certain facts about the Central Pollution Control Board. So it is a statutory body established under the Water Act of 1974, and it is working under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and the objective is to clean streams and wells and improve the air quality for the people. And in this Foundation Day, it released certain reports like classification of polluter river stretches and identification of non-polluted and polluted water bodies via benthic macro invertebrates. And in the Foundation Day, the Pollution Control Board also launched the Samir app 2.0. So we know that the Samir app will provide hourly update about the air quality. And on the Foundation Day, we launched the 2.0 of this app. And the next is the India's first bamboo-based bioethanol plant. So we know that the ethanol blending is very important in the coming days in achieving our vision of sustainable development and environmental sustainability. And considering this, recently the government of India established the first bamboo-based bioethanol plant in the Assam, and it is located in the Golagat in the state of Assam, and it is developed by the Assam Bioethanol Private Limited with the Numbilgad Refinery Limited. And the nodal ministry is Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, and the objective is to make India self-sufficient in energy, production of green energy with the promotion of circular economy. What is the objective of circular economy? That is reducing the wastage, recycle, reuse and repair, right? So circular economy is focusing on these three pillars. So here we can see that the bamboo, it is mostly during the time of agricultural activities, sometimes the farmers will consider it as a waste, but we will collect this bamboo, and from this we will produce the ethanol, and later we will blend it with the petroleum to reduce the emission, and it is a pathway in achieving the clean energy. So we'll see a prelims practice question. The question is, consider the following statements. Statement 1, Rooibos tea made from Aspalathus linearis is indigenous to South Africa's Suidenburg region. And statement 2, it is naturally caffeine free and valued for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Which of the above statements is or are correct? So from our discussion we can see that both the statements are correct. So here the correct answer is option C, both 1 and 2. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's current affair analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the academy. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day.